Hello and welcome to episode 154 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
Jeff, how is this fine Sunday treating you?
Pretty good, I guess. How about you?
Good. You're not working.
That's always a plus.
That's definitely a plus. And we have lots of DC news to talk about today. That's definitely a plus.
Yeah.
That's a big old plus. We are going to have Mr. William Outlaw on the show later to go over all of the DC Fandome news. That's such a dumb name. We're going into the dome, ladies and gentlemen.
Dome.
That's going to be real fun. So we'll get through all the other news that doesn't matter, all this other garbage. And then we'll get the man, the myth, the legend, William Outlaw on here later in the episode. It's going to be a good time. But before we get into the rest of our show, it's time to play our opening game. Where do you see yourself in 5 stars? So, Jeff, you are Bowser's hiring manager. I don't know where the other guy went. He's like slacking on the job. Your co-manager, I guess you're just going to have to do the job without him.
Oh, yeah. Make all the decisions.
Maybe Bowser will give you a raise. We'll see. So last week, to set this up for everyone, Jeff is Bowser's hiring manager to hire recruits to take down Mario. But recently, Bowser has discovered the multiverse. And so now he can recruit enemies, monsters from all across the multiverse to help fight Mario. Last week, Jeff and Jacob had selected their infantry, their cavalry, their grunts, and they chose the slimes from Dragon Quest. So that is going to be the grunts of the army. But, Jeff, you need a strong war general to lead these slimes in their fight against Mario.
Okay.
So your underlings have presented you with 3 options.
Okay.
To lead your slimes in the battle. Option number 1, Kratos from God of War. Option number 2, Reinhardt from Overwatch. And option number 3, King Mickey.
Ooh.
From Kingdom Hearts. Who is going to lead your slimes into battle, Jeffrey?
Trying to think. Okay, Reinhardt's out.
Okay. So, man, Reinhardt, thank you for sending your application.
Yeah.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Love you, Reinhardt, but let's see here. Kratos is a literal god. Some would say Mickey is too.
Some would say. I would say. He is my god.
Yeah. Let's see. Gotta think of who's good against Mario and who would be good at leading these adorable little slimes.
I think I honestly don't know. I know nothing about King Mickey's power level. I thought there was a chance that would say King Mickey, and you're like, oh, King Mickey, he destroyed Xehanort, of course. I don't know. What's gonna be, Jeff?
I feel like Mickey might have better leadership potential.
Kratos is kind of a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the only thing that's making me not just go straight to Mickey is we've seen Kratos do some crazy ass things.
I've seen Kratos
even if it's just by himself, he would be a formidable foe for Mario.
I think those are strong cases for both. I think you can't go wrong here.
Yeah.
Okay, I know a whole lot less about King Mickey's resume, to be honest with you.
Okay. So it may not be the smartest choice, but it could be the more entertaining choice. We will go King Mickey.
All right.
Because, Mario gets Mickey. Come on. And also, Mickey does know magic. I'm curious to see what magic he can do with the slimes. And what crazy shit could happen.
Yeah.
Kratos would be, if he was chosen and that was the best choice, it would be he was just going to rip Mario's head off.
Yeah, he might. That might happen.
Part of Lord Bowser might like that, but he likes the pizzazz,
Yeah.
If Bowser really wanted to, he could just go straight there and rip Mario probably himself and not let him get all these stars and power-ups.
That's good. You know how to suck up to Bowser. You know how to work for Bowser.
Yeah. So He likes pizzazz, and I think King Mickey can do some pizzazz.
All right. There's something I love about the like image of King Mickey standing on a hill with like thousands of slimes. Yeah, that's really good. So whoever's going to draw our fan art that we talked about last week, go ahead.
No. We talked about a game in dreams.
Yeah, a game in dreams. Please, God, please. All right, Jeff.
All right.
Let's get into what we've been playing this week. And I guess looking at the list, I guess I am starting this week with a little old game that was shadow dropped this week called Spiritfarer. It's a game that me and you have both been really looking forward to. I mean, we've enjoyed every trailer we've seen. It's the art style is just something that is hard to ignore. It's just you see that art style, it's like this is just a stunning game. We both expect that we're gonna cry. I've not cried yet.
Okay.
It has not been that sad yet, but I am only about 3 hours into it. It's a little indie game where you're playing this girl named Stella, and you don't have a whole lot of backstory to her so far, but you are taking over for this other person that I forget their name, but they were the Spiritfarer. They took people who had died and like took them to the afterlife, basically. It's but not in a like dark evil way, in a like warm nice way. Like the person is like, it seems like a good person that you're taking the job over from them, but at the very beginning of the game you see them and you're like, yeah, they're moving on and you're like taking their job. So you are the Spiritfarer, and you're you have this boat and you're sailing around from island to island, and it's clear that you're in some sort of weird spirit realm type thing where you're encountering people who were obviously real people, but they have like this ghost form thing. And it's not like being over, but it seems, very clear that they have died and that they need to move on. Not all of them seem to know. Like some of them have more of a clear idea that it's like, I'm dead and I'm moving on. Some other people kind of seem like they maybe don't know. So it's, I don't know completely.
Got to break it to them.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be rough. And so you have, so far I've picked up 2 actual party members on my boat. And there's been a bunch of other people that I've helped out just on islands and everything with various things. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot more people coming. And neither of my 2 people have passed on yet. They're both still on the boat. But like once you basically just sail around from place to place, and the gameplay involved here is a management type game. It's you have your people on the boat and they all have different likes and dislikes, and you can cook different types of food depending on the resources you get, and you can fish and get different type of things like that. So it's partially seeing, cooking food for these people that they would like and not giving them things they don't like, and, like building them places or whatever to keep them happy. But there's also like you can farm, you can plant seeds and like, water them and everything like that. You're like you're just as you're going around, because you don't fast travel when you go to a new place. You actually travel there on the boat. It never takes that long. It's not that annoying. It's long enough to where you can kind of just go manage your things in the meantime. Which honestly, that kind of game is not really my jam. I've never liked Animal Crossing or like a lot of games like that. Or Stardew Valley. I've tried them and they just kind of bore me. I wish they didn't. So I didn't know this game. I liked the vibe of it and the concept of it enough that I was going to give it a try. And my first few sessions, I was enjoying it, but I definitely thought like I'm probably going to get tired of this whole management thing, or it's just not going to bring me back enough. But I have found myself wanting to go back and play it.
That's good.
Yeah, and I've like every day I've at least put in a little bit of time. And I think that's been a pretty good way to play it, to just like not play it for hours on end, but to just dip in, go to a new place, do a few things and leave. And I think it's simple enough of a management thing, and then the like entire vibe and the writing and everything has been really good. So it's just like I'm in a good mood when I'm playing it, And then
they will crush you later on.
I'm sure they will. I have heard people say it's not quite as soul crushing as you think. I mean, I think it's going to be sad, but it seems more of like it's dealing with death in more of a happy way, if that's a weird way to say it, but you know what I mean. It's kind of more of a celebrating life and doing this, even though there has already been some things they touched on where I'm like some dark past and some regrets in life, and I'm very intrigued to see all the different people and because it's still all very mysterious right now. You don't exactly know who these people were. And there's because like one of the second person I got is apparently Stella's uncle, which they have not like. It's all been like, hey, uncle, like, I'm so glad, he's like, oh, I'm so glad I get to travel with you and everything. And the whole time I'm like, so the uncle's dead, right? Oh, no. I was like, that's really sad. No. But they, like, the other shoe hasn't dropped yet. They haven't really addressed.
What animal is her uncle?
It's the frog that was on the ship in the demo. It's and he's like, I love it because he's like this big old guy. He's like jolly and everything. And the other person you had is like very particular. She only likes certain types of food and she can never eat the same thing twice. You go to the uncle and it says likes everything, dislikes nothing. He just loves everything. He's just a happy frog man.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying it. I've only played maybe 3 hours, and maybe not even that long because I've played in such spurts, and I honestly don't know how long the game is. I haven't looked it up. But I'm really into it. It is. I feel like this game is going to like. I feel like by the time I get to the end of the year, this seems like one of those games that like in the moment I'll be like, yeah, it was really good, but then by the end of the year I may be like, I really love that game. I think the longer I sit with it, the more I'm gonna like it. So.
It's good. Yeah, playing a game to it at some point has got too much on my plate right now.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, I'm in between things. This is a good time for Spiritfarer for me. But I recommend it, and it's Game Pass. And it is on Switch too. I think it's
on everything.
I think it's $30 on there. I think I don't know because obviously I got Game Pass.
Could be on sale on Switch. They had that big indie sale. I don't know if Spiritfarer was part of it.
Yeah, I'd go check it out soon. To see if that sale is going on. Yep. So that's Spiritfarer. I'll definitely talk about it more as I get through it.
Well, Darby, speaking of Game Pass and new games, Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is definitely like probably the weirdest game we've ever like the most out of place I've ever been bringing a game to this show. Yeah, I want to start off by saying I have no experience with piloting. I also have no like interest in piloting, so this is not take that. If you were in the same boat, then you can listen to what I say, and it might apply to you and everything. So just put it on the table. I literally just played this because it was free. It was on Game Pass, and I have a beefy new PC, so I wanted to see how it run on there. And because there's just some bonkers stuff about this game, namely that the entire world is mapped in it. You literally have a globe that you can turn around and pick any place on the map, and then you're flying a plane there. Like, what? That is bonkers. I want to see that. I want someone to make an RPG or something. Like, make something like with that technology. It's just, I don't know. It blows my mind. That part is pretty fucking crazy. That you can just go anywhere.
Rockstar's going to go up to Microsoft and be like, hey, that technology.
Hey. You could definitely use that for something. I want someone to use it for some game. A more game type thing, which... That will bring me to, this is not a game for casual people like myself. And I figured it wouldn't be. I was just hoping that there would be enough there to where I could feel like I could play for a few hours, just kind of like roaming around places and feel satisfied. But once I got in there, I definitely very quickly learned this is way more of a real kind of hardcore simulation of like you are in a cockpit and there are a bunch of like dials and knobs that I have no clue what any of them do. And even after the tutorial, I couldn't even take off. I had to like start making it auto simulate a bunch of things because it's like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And then once I got up there, it's like you just very slowly move along the sky, which again, if you want to learn how to be a pilot and you're like really into that stuff, I'm sure that's awesome. But for me, it just got really boring pretty fast. And while it does look good overall, and especially considering that the entire world is there and it's using a lot of what's mapped is by like satellites and stuff, it's really impressive. But you can tell everything looks kind of like grainy and stuff. And when you get close to mountains or the ground and trees or stuff, they don't look great. It looks pretty, because that's not what it's really going for exactly. Like when you look at a vista off in the distance, it's like, oh, this looks pretty cool, but like it doesn't take very long for you to be like, all right, that looks like a PS2 model or something. You know what I mean? So it wasn't quite enough for someone who has no interest in flying to, it's like, oh, I'm just going to look at everything. It's like, and it's not that pretty to look at. So I came away with it like, I'm not super interested in going back. I think I might dip back in there just to go to some landmarks, like to just drop myself in Tokyo and just like kind of look around, or drop myself in Colombia where we live and just look around.
And then crash. And then just kind of bounce on the
That's
ground.
the other thing. Yeah, crashing is not as fun as I thought it would be. you very slowly crash and then you kind of just like bounce on the ground for a second. Like boom, boom, boom.
They know.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to. I tried to crash into the ocean, and I like kept landing on the ground. So I still don't know what happens if you crash in the water. But yeah. I don't know. What did you have any interest in Flight Simulator?
Messing around with it, sure.
Yeah,
it's the extent of it. Maybe doing it for satellite, but it sounds like it may not be as good as I had hoped for that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think neither of us will know what the hell we're doing, and not really in a fun way. More in just the. Yeah, and everything's very slow. But you're welcome to get in there and pop around a few places if you just want to look at it. It is also a 100 gig download, so big old download.
They should allow me to use my Wii steering wheel to pilot.
Please. But I do like Jacob said on Twitter that he actually has like an interest in piloting and everything and wants to get his pilot license. Like, legit, this thing looks awesome. I mean, as someone who doesn't know anything, it seems like it's very realistic and very true to form, and I think if you have an interest in that kind of stuff, this thing is bonkers. Like, I think this thing deserves the 10s and everything it's getting. It's just not for casuals like us,
I'm very curious. I haven't listened to it yet. I don't know if you have, but Easy Allies posted
I want to,
impressions thing where one of their members got their pilot friend to get on there. He tried it out and give his impressions on it.
Yeah, I would love for you, like Jacob, if you're listening, if you want to come into my room next time you're over and jump in there, you are more than welcome to. Because I have to imagine the specs for this thing are pretty crazy. Yeah, but very, very impressive game, even if it's not for me.
Yeah. But you know what is for you, Darby? Linkin Park.
More for you, but yes, I do enjoy me some Linkin Park. But I'll let you go on this first since I've been talking a lot.
Okay. Well, what happened was Beat Saber, hit at some point last week, like, we got new music. Look forward to, and like, what could it be? Then they announced Linkin Park pack, and me and a lot of them were like, hell yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Yep, 11 songs, mostly old shit. The newest song in there is New Divide from that Transformers movie.
Yeah, they knew. They're not going to hold you hostage with, oh, you better check out this news. No, we're just going to give you the songs we know that most people want.
So did that. We popped into that this morning. Like the presentation of it, you're like in a little subway thing with a bunch of cool light stuff going on. Mm-hmm. It's not just like the normal Beat Saber thing with Green Day, like the American Idiot thing in the background, and that's just kind of it. It's green, but it's like this is a whole new thing, and they did a cool presentation stuff with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely more of a transformative thing, to be like Linkin Park themed in a way, and the logo is there, and like a lot of the strobe light things they do was really, really cool. Yeah. And as far as the actual songs, like, I do think it's hitting the sweet spot that I would want it to hit, where I think the expert songs are like hard enough to where I am sweating and like I was not getting it right off the bat, but it's also people said it was like harder than the Camilla songs. It's not, for me at least. It's not. The Camilla pack or whatever is the name of the other band. It's like those I will never be able to do an expert. It's just never ever going to happen. But most of these Linkin Park ones, when I did it the first time, I'm like, okay, I can do this with enough practice. And that's what I love in Beat Saber is like having a song that's really hard and just doing it over and over again until I can get it on expert. I'm not a very big high score chaser, but I love the, like...
The feeling part is harder. You're just an angsty boy.
I am angsty.
So you felt the music through your bones.
It is, like I'm just getting the zone. It just speaks to me and enhances my power. Yeah. Did you enjoy?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm happy with more Beat Saber songs in general, especially like, I don't know, like if I prefer them doing more like songs from bands or whatever, just doing original music or doing a more mixture of both. I guess on one hand, I wish they released music more frequently, especially on PS4. Yeah. Like I saw that to PC people saying, I get this 100%. Like, and this is nothing for us because we've had these songs on there for modding forever.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I wish they released stuff more frequently, and yeah, I'm cool with them doing some of the band stuff, especially this is like the first one, honestly, where the whole pack just appeals to me. Like there was the Green Day one, but it's 6 songs, and 2 out of the 6 were new Green Day songs, which are not good. Just not good.
Just straight up not good. Yeah, I was telling Jeff when we were playing it this morning. It's weird in most games. You think you'd like, oh yeah, the licensed songs that I love. Beat Saber, I actually prefer the more like techno dance ones because they just seem like they fit better with the Beat Saber movements and the heavy bass and everything. Like they're absurd songs where it's made to be amp you up for this. Whereas I think like things like Green Day and Linkin Park and those, like, they're cool, but it doesn't quite fit the Beat Saber vibe quite as much. I still enjoy them, but I hope, kind of to your point, that they start doing both. Like, I hope I don't want it to just all be licensed songs from here on out. I hope they do some other ones or stuff like the Rocket League. I guess is technically licensed, but it's the same type of song where it's instrumental. It's only or it's like techno remix. It fits in very well. Yeah, but I do worry about them stopping doing all this stuff, supporting the PSVR. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the whole fear because they're owned by Facebook now.
Yeah, so. I'd rather at least still getting stuff now.
Yeah,
at the very least.
Yeah, just whatever new Beat Saber thing they make. Doubt we would get it anyway, just because who knows, Sony may stop supporting it. But
it's a dog.
Yeah.
There's a dog wanting to guest on the podcast. He's very enthusiastic about Linkin Park.
Yep.
Well, Jeff, is that it? I think that's all we got. Right. Yeah. Well, Jeff, let's get into the news then, Jeff. News jingle.
Jingle. Normally, this is where we talk about DC shit. The DC games.
Normally,
we're not doing that now.
We always talk about DC games.
But yeah, like Dari said, we're waiting for Mr. William Outlaw.
Just call that our main topic. That we very rarely actually end up doing main topics, but we are this week.
Yep. But so the first news thing we are talking about is Nintendo Indie World. Nintendo like, you guys want a direct? Well, fuck you. Here's some indie games. Just kidding. They definitely feel that fell away. I did not.
Exactly what happened.
Yep. People are upset. No Smash. Where was Smash?
Well, Jeff, no one cares about those people. What did Jeff Mayo think about it? That's all that anyone should care about.
I thought it was really good. I thought the show was really good. Very good selection of indie games. Lots of shadow drops.
Yes.
And all that. Interesting announcements and all that. Well-paced show. Nice, tight 20 minutes. Yeah. Nintendo's just been doing really, really good with the indie shows, and I think this is one of the stronger ones, not the strongest.
I think this is definitely the best one. I think I said on Twitter, this is legit like one of my favorite shows, and there's been a lot of bad shows, but one of my favorite shows of this whole summer to me. I mean, kind of took me off guard just with the fact that, I think a lot of times when you go into indie showcase, you expect that there's probably only going to be a handful of games that interest you, and then there's going to be a bunch of other ones, and that's fine. That's cool, the big wide variety. But this one is actually like the vast majority of these games interest me to some level and to some degree. And like you said, just the presentation, it was like I felt like this was a very rare summer 2020 game show where it actually respected your time and things just moved at a good clip, and like the people talking in between had personality, but it wasn't cringy, and it was just like, all right, let's get the game. It was like, move on. It was like, by the time I got to the end though, I was like, that was just a really good show.
Yeah, and we do know it was a summer 2020 presentation because Haven did make an appearance.
Oh yes. Of course. Are you kidding me? It has to. They have to sneak in there and be like, hey, we're here too. We made our token appearance.
I don't know who those people know. Good for them because the game looks cool, but
yeah, they had to have spent a lot of money on all this or something. Or they have like Miyamoto's nudes or something. Something's going on.
But first thing they showed, Hades. Hades is coming to the Switch, and it's fully launching the 1.0 version, coming out early access on PC this fall.
Very hype. That seemed like a game that could actually run on the Switch and would actually do good on the Switch and everything.
Game kind of feel like, okay, this feels good for the Switch.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think that's a good fit. It makes me wonder, like, the other Supergiant. Is it Supergiant or Supermassive? Supergiant. The other Supergiant games aren't on the Switch, are they?
Only Pyre isn't.
Only Pyre. So Transistor and Bastion are. Oh, okay.
The weird thing, people. Yeah, something. I thought I mentioned to you something important.
Yeah. Now I remember you saying
that. It was like for some reason Pyre's the only one that hasn't been announced for the Switch at all, or not on it, or whatever. It just kind of stands out. It's just kind of like I guess Pyre didn't sell as well compared to it.
Yeah, probably not. But anyway, Hades looks awesome to me. I totally want to play it. I'm just gonna probably wait until it's all done. It's out in early access right now. But, I mean, you've never played a Supergiant game, have you?
I played Transistor.
You played Transistor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember
that. Sometime in college.
Okay, interesting. I don't even remember you say I remember when I played it like last year. I didn't remember you talking about it, but I guess I just blocked that out of my memory, or maybe you just didn't speak up much. But are you interested in Hades?
Yeah, it looks good. Don't know when I get around to it. We'll see how that goes, but yeah. So I feel like one of those games that'd be on Switch, as long as it runs well. Increases my likelihood.
Yeah, unless it's on Game Pass or something, I'll probably just get it for Switch.
True. Hypnospace Outlaw. Dang internet simulator.
Yeah. This is the one with the like it looks like early 2000s webpage thing. Yeah.
Yep. Pretty neat. Coming out August 27th, and there's a demo out. So you can try it. Not a full game shadow drop, but a demo shadow drop.
Yeah.
And they also showed the previously mentioned Spiritfarer shadow dropped, which was a very nice surprise and what was, very telling what was to come in this presentation.
Yeah. That was crazy.
I think, it was like the first full game shadow drop, and we're like, oh, okay.
It's like actually a game we've been like, oh, when's that coming out? Apparently now.
Yeah, because all they said was this year.
Yeah.
We had no idea.
Which, again, indies are the best thing to shadow drop because it gets them. A lot of people are talking about these games now because of the suddenness of like, oh, it's here. Fuck.
Yeah. Yep. People seem to really be enjoying that, and it seemed like. Well, it didn't seem like it definitely happened. A bunch of reviewers got it beforehand because after the presentation was like, "Oh, we can drop our review." Boop.
Okay, I didn't even notice the reviews going up,
which was good. I think good for this game. It's like a bunch of very positive reviews and Shadow Drop coming out at the same time. It's like, okay,
hell yeah.
Garden Story.
You're a grape.
I like grapes.
This game looks cute.
Yeah. Around 2021. Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero.
Okay.
Underwater survival.
I would need to go look, but I remember every time I've seen Subnautica like before this time, it's always like, wow, it's so beautiful. It's like, man, that's a really striking game. Jeff, this looked like a freaking PS2 game. It looked real bad on the Switch. Like, I mean, that has to be a downgrade, right?
Probably.
I mean, maybe you didn't notice that, but like I saw other people talking about it too. It was like when they first were showing the like gameplay, I didn't know it was Subnautica. I was like, this looks rough, and then it comes up Subnautica. I'm like, oh shit, damn. It's like I wouldn't have expected that much of a downgrade for the Switch. Or at least I haven't seen it recently, but I didn't think it looked very good on the Switch.
Yeah. Shame. That's right, but we still need to put every AAA game on the Switch. Those won't be downgraded, Derby.
If Subnautica is downgraded, then oh boy.
Takeshi and Hiroshi. That claymation game with the brothers going to be sad because it's obvious the brother's in a hospital bed and the other brother's making a video game, and it's cool because you're making an RPG that's got to be exciting but not too hard.
It's a very cool concept. It looks very heavy.
Yeah.
Have we had impressions of this yet?
I haven't seen it. Yeah, this one was Shadow Drop. I haven't seen anything yet. I'll look because it was like one that could be really good.
Yeah. The
style is awesome.
Yeah, definitely that claymation thing is very, very different for a video game, obviously. Yeah.
Let's see. Raji, an ancient epic. Yeah.
This one didn't do a ton for me, but personally.
Let's see. Set blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. There's also Shadow Dropped. Bear and Breakfast.
Well, it's very cute. And the pun is fantastic.
Yeah.
Probably not a game I'll play, but I respect it a lot. But this next game, everyone should play.
Card Shark. No, Short Hike.
A Short Hike. We just talked about it like last week or the week before, whenever the hell it was.
Also, Shadow Dropped.
That's awesome. And I've seen a lot of people talking about it. So I think that game sales are probably going to like double now, like after Switch.
Oh, no, probably more than that.
Yeah, probably.
Because correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like this is the first like big showing of it being at something.
I feel like it's been at something before because I
definitely like PC game.
I definitely saw it at an event. I definitely have like seen it. Like it was because it came out like over a year ago. It was like summer of last year, I think.
I just forgot.
But I think it's been a long, and this might still be like one of the biggest things that's been shown at. Yeah. And I mean, most people I've seen playing it either had just heard about it a tiny bit or had no clue. Most people I saw thought this was a new game. Yeah. So, whatever works, just as long as you buy it and play it.
I know the creator doesn't care what but also some important. It's timed exclusive for the Switch, so it's going to come out on Xbox and PlayStation.
We'll just get it out everywhere. I mean, it's just such a delightful game, and it's also $8. Like everyone go play it. And it was made by one guy. Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just such a good time, and you need to play.
Yes. Card Shark. It's a game about cheating at cards.
I thought this looked dope.
Yeah,
I thought this looked really, really cool. It's a really cool concept for there's a lot of card games out there, games with just some sort of card mechanic, but the whole aspect of kind of flipping on its head, it's like you're actually like you're trying to cheat or like see if other people are cheating, and it showed like someone getting caught and someone comes out and shoots them. It's like this could get really cool.
Yeah, and of course it's from it being published by Devolver Digital, of course.
Which, mad respect to Devolver, they make a lot of very innovative, unique games.
Yep. Coming out next year, Torchlight 3.
Yeah, pass. We don't need to talk about it. Sorry.
Manifold Garden, like a crazy puzzle game.
Yeah, I think Jenny, my sister, would enjoy this.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about it?
Look neat. It's one of those one of those that I see it here, like that looks neat, and probably never really think about it.
Probably.
Much again.
Yeah.
And it's a game that's already out or whatever. It's just Shadow Dropped on Switch. Evergate. Someone liked Ori.
Oh yeah, I didn't think this one looked great, to be honest with you. I don't know. What did you think about it?
Looked okay. Nothing that's completely blew me away. I'm interested to see if this game was also Shadow Drop, so I'd be interested to see other people playing it, see what they say.
Just looks like Ori, but worse.
I mean, most things are worse than Ori.
Yeah, that is very true. Very true.
And the big stinger. Untitled Geese Game announcement.
Untitled Geese Game. Is that actually what they're calling it?
No, okay. But they should.
Yeah, it would be fun.
They announced a free 2-player cooperative mode for Untitled Goose Game coming September 23rd. I think also that is coming out on Steam that day.
So do we know, is this a new level, or is it just the original game but you can have 2 players?
Yeah, so I don't know if they updated. It sounded like you were just playing the original game but with 2 people. That we don't know if they're the map seems to be nothing in there for what I saw was any new map. It's all the map we played. I don't know if there are any new tasks they're adding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like that could just break the game.
Yeah.
You could just, one person could be on permanent distracting duty and the other person's doing the thing.
Could have been more fun for our playthrough, us both being it if we do it. I mean, it would have made it easier, like you said, but we've both been fucking around and do some funny shit.
Definitely could be, certainly fun. I'm kind of cynical about Untitled Goose Game, but but I respect this for other people.
Then the montage and some stuff. I kind of forgot what to say for release. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just a couple of the ones like Haven
and Red Lantern.
Red Lantern's coming autumn.
I know, I want it.
And
it's good.
Yeah. Ashley Birch.
I know, Ashley Birch with some huskies and some emotions. Speaking my language.
Husky emotions.
Ashley Birch, husky emotions. That's all I need. I'm a simple man.
Yeah, so overall, a very, very good. Not nindies no more. No more nindies.
Cowards, Jeff.
Yeah.
They're just cowards. Yeah. No, it was a very good one. I think that was. I'm looking forward to multiple of those games. Playing one of them right now.
Yeah. And the best thing about it, not really, but it means the rumors may be true, and we're getting some kind of Nintendo Direct in quotes this upcoming Friday. It's probably just going to be another partner showcase.
I'm glad you're at least saying that part.
Yeah. Hey, if we get something like a No More Heroes 3 just release date or something, or another trailer, that's just worth it on its own.
Well, you won't be able to see the release date or trailer because
Suda
will be blocking it. Yeah.
So. Yeah. Sakura will also be blocking it to announce Travis.
Yeah. Well, they announced Travis, but you can't see any of the gameplay, and they're just standing in front of it talking.
You know what? I take it. and they just announce when they're going to do the Sakurai Soap showcase.
Well, they just will release him. And you never actually get to see the gameplay without them standing in front of it.
There's just kind of real talk, though. I could see potentially, this would be a new thing if Travis were to hypothetically get in the Smash. I don't expect him to. It wouldn't be the most surprising thing, but I'm not expecting it. I could see Suda really wanting to be in that presentation to showcase Travis.
They're buds, and I think Sakurai gets to kind of do what he wants, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I really want Travis in. But I think, everyone's expecting a direct of some kind on Friday. That's just kind of, people are arguing what the level will be. I see the Smash community getting their hopes up for a Smash character. I'm like, if it's they announce a full-on direct, I'll be like, okay, yeah, there's a good chance we're getting a Smash character. If we get Thursday night and we don't hear anything, it's like, okay, we're getting a partner thing.
I trust Jeffy Grub, and he said something small, probably. So.
And then he mentioned a full direct. Probably.
We are getting lots of small directs, all over the place, left and right.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about a new game
called
Out of nowhere. Black Myth Wukong, of a small Chinese developer.
Yes,
very pretty.
And it's kind of insane to say, they say it's a small developer, with not many people working there, yet somehow this game looks better and more polished than, any AAA game I've seen coming out right now. What sorcery?
Magic.
Yeah, it was, if you haven't seen this, definitely go watch this. Yeah, called Black Myth
13-minute... straight gameplay.
Just the animations are absurd. It really is. It's we talk about next gen showcases or whatever. This kind of puts all of the next gen showcases we've seen to shame. Every last one of them, because the animations just look so clean and just
the fur physics
bonkers. And it just looks so polished. That whole boss fight, I was kind of mesmerized the entire time. It was a pretty long boss fight.
Yeah, I can't remember Max said at the end of his little reaction thing, but I think someone told him about what one of the devs says. I can't remember how many transformations they said. At some point, I guess it was a little mid-boss thing. The Monkey King dude beat an enemy, took his lance thing or whatever, and just shoved it in his ear, and then brought it out later and then transformed to that guy. And apparently it's I don't know, dozens of those apparently.
Yeah. And just like the amount of like distinct animations that the creature had too.
Well, something I thought about, I guess it depends how the game's structured. Like there was stuff for him being on fire, and that could be something that could not happen because he transformed into the fire guy.
Right. Yeah.
Like if there are other transformations, they may have to do stuff to react to different abilities.
And it just seemed like he would hit him in certain ways, and just he would like fly off. Like none of it looked like a super canned thing. It all looked very dynamic, and especially he would turn the camera at one time. He fell and just like he fell towards the like light source, and like he was like silhouetted, like the light was like silhouetting out of it. It's like it just looks insane.
Yeah.
And like not only did just visually and production value, it was super impressive. It was also just the kind of visual design of everything going on, and the like ability design, everything all looked very unique. It looked like it was taking some inspiration from some things, but it also just looked like, you know what I mean? It just like stood out to me.
I'm trying to remember. I think I read something about some things that they were inspired by. I know God of War was one of them. I can't remember what.
Definitely Dark Souls. I mean,
I can't remember. There was like another one or two that I can't remember. It's like, yeah, those make sense.
Yeah. And I mean, it does. I think it also kind of touches too. Like we haven't really had a AAA style like echelon of a game from China. I mean, I really don't even think we've had many like Chinese games, period, come to the West or like get like very popular outside of China, probably. And I do think that that's interesting when you introduce an entire new area of the world and you get to see like what ideas they come up with. You end up getting something very unique because in a lot of ways we play Western and Japanese games. For the most of our games are like in America or Japan. There's some European ones, America, Japan, or Europe, and a lot of the ideas get kind of recycled and like shared over and over again, even if it's subconsciously. You know, that just kind of happens. And then when you just suddenly see something from just a completely different world, it can kind of like, oh shit, you know. And that's kind of what like Witcher. That's why I love The Witcher so much, is because like it kind of felt like fairy tales and stuff you heard like when you were a kid, but kind of skewed in a weird way because it's distinctly Polish, and I know nothing about Poland, so it was very like, you know, striking and different to you. So I am very interested to see if this type of thing continues. Yeah,
well, we got a little taste of that when on the last State of Play where they had a little Chinese section. Yeah. So might be just seeing more of those in general. Yeah, I guess we'll need to see if this game makes it over to the West. I imagine this will potentially help that process. Like, okay, maybe we should, because it's getting a lot of buzz over here at the moment.
And kind of what Max was talking about, I also want to see how real this is. You know, I have a feeling this game's not going to actually look this good when it comes out, because this was probably a very vertical slice. You know?
What makes me feel better about it may not look, you know, exactly like that, but leaning closer to that than a lot of games do between, you know, showing some of the stuff and the full release is, like Max pointed out, is kind of like little frame drops and stuff in there and just a little imperfections here and there. It's like, okay, this isn't all bullshit at the very least. And also that B-roll kind of stuff at the end where it's showing a whole bunch of obviously different scenes of all this crazy stuff. That was good from just making us feel like, okay, this is more of a full game. It's like, look at all this crazy shit, like the stuff you're doing and all these crazy like designs and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was totally not expecting like a full game montage.
Yeah.
You know, at the end there.
Well, like at the end, you're just fighting like it's like a Muso game in the heaven or some shit.
Yes, crazy bonkers things going on. Very interested. Very impressive stuff. And I had heard so much hype going into this. I was like, okay, it's not going to be anything that crazy. But I left it, and there was multiple times me and you were like, wait, whoa, you know, when a new thing was revealed. It's cool. Definitely go check that out. Go watch that.
So, you know, we talked about something cool. Now we talk about something not cool. And that is the potential fate of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Which, not looking good. Don't read this whole thing. It's from Graham Smith from Rock Paper Shotguns. It's pretty much the writer and like creative director for Bloodlines 2 are gone.
Yeah.
Just kind of let go.
And even
out of nowhere.
Even they didn't really exactly know why.
Yeah.
It didn't... I think everyone's immediate assumption is usually he was a scumbag Me Too type thing, but like the guy himself was just kind of like, yeah, I don't really understand right now.
Yeah, there's two of them, two big people. It's like, and this game was just delayed and all that, and this is not a very good look for the game. Where does it make you feel good about it?
And just like now, also in hindsight, just the trailer kind of having a very different type of tone than the first one. It seems like it might be kind of floundering, not exactly knowing what the game wants to be. And the first game was such a janky mess. So people love it. It's a niche thing that people love, but it was,
they were trying. It seems like they were trying to build this up as something more than that, trying to break out a little bit.
Yeah, but potentially biting off more than they can chew, or trying to do more than. I mean, all this we don't know anything specific, but definitely not good signs.
No.
It seems like the type of tortured development for a small game trying to be a big game that could lead to big problems, But hopefully it can course correct in time. Like we said, I mean, next year would be a better time for it anyway, but...
Yeah, well, this makes me wonder, like, how soon into next year, if they're getting rid of these guys, like, does that mean their stuff's done? It's like, okay, we're just going to save money by doing this, or just maybe some real creative differences are going to change things that's going to take longer? Is it really going to be a Joker game?
Probably that.
Yeah.
Probably that.
This game might never be coming out.
It'll come out. I mean, we say that too much. Yeah, this game will never come out. It's going to come out. It just might not be good.
Yeah. But a game that did come out and people really, really like, including people that were on our podcast a few weeks ago, Ghost of Tsushima.
And Brent that we snubbed. He's like the biggest fan of this game in the world. We didn't have him on, and we should feel ashamed of ourselves.
I feel ashamed every day.
That is true.
Actually, read this. This was from Zach Zerain from Kotaku. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Zwiewen. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. Sorry, Zach.
Okay, yeah. Today, Sucker Punch announced Ghost of Tsushima Legends, a brand new co-op experience coming to Ghost of Tsushima for free. The new mode will let up to 4 folks play together in a story separate from the original game, featuring new enemies and characters based on Japanese mythology. Darren Bridges, the senior game designer at Sucker Punch, explained in a post on the official PlayStation blog how players will choose from different classes, play with groups of 2 to 4 in missions built exclusively for co-op action. Depending on how many players you have, you'll get access to different missions. If it's just you and a friend, then you can try out a series of co-op story missions featuring a lot of combat. If you and 3 friends play together, you can play wave-based survival missions. 4-player raid is also being added shortly after Legends is released.
That is a big surprise to me.
Yeah.
Not something I ever would have really expected from Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, the way this sounds and just the way the trailer is, like, this is such a different thing that you could have just made this like a small little expansion, like, paid thing, but instead no one expected this.
Yeah.
And there's like, this whole different thing, different vibe and all that. We're just going to give it to you for free. Because watching trailers like, all that supernatural shit we were thinking from the original Ghost of Tsushima trailer. This is it.
Well, I think it's really cool because I think Ghost of Tsushima needed to be, and I'm glad that it is more realistic, more grounded. But in this co-op side thing that's not part of the story, go crazy. That's where I think that's cool that they get to do both.
Especially that people love the gameplay so much. Use this gameplay and use the Japanese setting and the mythology and just do crazier shit with it.
Yeah. And I think you would want that more when you're goofing off with your friends. To be like, we're fighting these crazy monsters and all these other things.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how crazy they get. We're going to fight like a nine-tailed fox or some shit.
Yeah. Okay. But I also just thought about it. This kind of seems like it comes out of nowhere, and it's like, oh wow, this single player game that was already seemed like it was probably such a big deal to get out. You also made this other thing, but also Naughty Dog straight up said that they are making Last of Us 2 multiplayer, but they got so big they're making a separate game. So I mean, both Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us, the 2 big hitters here, are both doing multiplayer side things for their games.
Yeah. Curious to see if this, and there's rumored Horizon's doing something multiplayer related. Yeah. So I'm curious if we're going back to Sony just kind of doing that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I wonder what the strategy is there, because like it's not like their games have not been selling well without this, but I guess just adding more to the overall package, I guess. I don't know.
Like, I'm curious because some people brought up like, okay, what Sony things could do this as it starts becoming a trend for them, because I think it's fair to kind of potentially look at that at this point, because Last of Us goes to Tsushima, Horizon 2 is heavily rumored to have that now too. Yeah. And you look at other stuff like, will Insomnia do that with these games? Because, you know, it might be weirder, but for Spider-Man, or may not necessarily Miles Morales, but like Spider-Man 2, you got 2 spider people that you could have people co-op. Yeah. And in Ratchet, you have the female Lombax.
Yeah.
That you can potentially do co-op stuff for.
Worth considering. Yeah, it's weird because, I mean, back in the day, that was a thing. Like, every Uncharted had multiplayer, and Last of Us had multiplayer, and I'm sure there was other examples of, I mean, God of War had Ascension because it had a whole multiplayer game, but like that whole like single player thing also having a tacked on multiplayer used to be a thing, and it's just went away. I am honestly kind of surprised it's coming back. I would feel a little better about it now. I feel like they'll probably treat it better, because sometimes those multiplayer modes were just not super well thought out, you know, and it kind of just felt like, here's another thing. Look, it's a big package.
Yeah, well, I just felt like also at the time, I feel like most of them tried to do the exact same thing. Like, if they go in and kind of, if they decide to do it, kind of cater it to the game. Yeah. If they were going to go that strategy. And, you know, may not put it in every single game.
And too many of them, were just like deathmatch. Yeah. Have a deathmatch. This sounds a lot more interesting because they're actually making like monsters for this and making activities to do for this.
Story for it.
And it's free, so even if it's not like the craziest best thing in the world, you didn't spend money on it.
Well, was there anyone who's like read this and got excited for it, already had Ghost of Tsushima and was satisfied with it anyway.
It's just going to keep them playing, and it seems like they waited just long enough to where people are starting to beat the game, and they're like, "Hey, don't trade that in, you know, don't sell that game.
You want to play this with your buddies." You know, we know quite a few people that will definitely, we know will be team squatting up and shit.
Absolutely. I was just so surprised when I saw that. I'm like, I wonder, it makes me wonder, like, this whole, it kind of feels like Ghost of Tsushima has been done since the beginning of the year, and it was just pushed back for Last of Us. I wonder if, were they working on this a lot during that time? I mean, that was too short of a time. It seemed like they would have had to have been working on that before. It's probably more likely a side team within Soccer Project.
Well, Darby, we're talking about how silly Sega is.
They are a silly, silly company, aren't they?
So, Sega has said pretty much they're going to aggressively port games to Steam and I guess other things like PC and stuff after the success of Persona 4 Gold. And I'm going to take a guess and say Yakuza was also a factor in this.
Yeah.
No duh, Sega.
No, well,
are you legitimately surprised that Persona was as successful as it was?
Yeah, I think there was words. Wasn't there some wording about them even being surprised about it or something? They're like, oh, after that, you know, we're actually going to. Yeah, whatever. It just infuriates me that you could be this naive about this whole thing when you have the internet screaming at the top of their lungs. I mean, and it just goes. We've seen this over and over again. They're like, well, you know, if you want this on Switch, you got to tell us. You know, we don't hear you clamoring for this, and everyone's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like all anyone talks about when it comes to Persona. So it's like it just is clear to me that they have no awareness whatsoever of the market or what fans want.
Sega/Atlas are just very weird with this. I mean, they even said like they hope that they're going to plan on the time between the releases and the PC port to be shorter as well, which is like, okay, that should be a
please
priority.
Not like years and years and years later.
Like legitimately, unless there is some kind of weird Sony contract thing, and I'm kind of 50-50 on it, but also because Sega's so freaking weird, who the hell knows? That Persona 6 I think needs to not just be on the PlayStation. I think it needs to come out on PlayStation. It probably will be, but I feel like it needs to be on that and PC. Or maybe an Xbox as well, because why the hell not?
Yeah. It's just so freaking obvious that these games would do well if you put them on more platforms and put them on PC and everything else.
Well, I mean,
it's just not surprising.
They agree with that to a point, like our Persona, because Scramble is on Switch.
Yeah. And just Persona 4 is one of the most like revered and talked about games of all time. It's one of those. It's a lot of people's favorite game of all time, and it's absolutely freaking absurd that the only way you could get it in the year of our Lord 2020 was PS3 or Vita. And golden only Vita. Yeah. It's like, that is ridiculous. That is patently absurd. That is just money on the table.
Yeah, well, and now they're like, man, we could have done this years ago.
It's like, yeah, you could have, you doofuses.
I'm sure now they're trying to be like, so we're going to port Persona 5, right?
It's like, you should have done it 4 years ago, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know what else is exclusive to the PS5?
Deathloop.
And it's also delayed.
Yeah, it is also delayed. They have said Bethesda or Team Arcane or whatever the hell, Arcane Studios. Oop, that's not right. Has said it is being delayed from the end of this year to quarter 2, 2021. So between April and June is when this game is now scheduled to come out, leaving a little hole in Sony's launch window-ish.
No, the launch lineups just disappear in your hands like sand.
Xbox loses one, Sony loses one.
They're being dusted. We snap.
Though what's funny for Deathloop, a lot of people are like, wait, that was coming out. Wait, was it not already coming out next year? What's going on? Because they made it. They were so bad at messaging that most people did not know it was scheduled, and that may have been on purpose, so there wasn't as much outrage. Because who knows, they might have like, okay, there's a decent chance we get delayed.
Feel confident anyway.
Especially since, like, if this was scheduled, let's say November, this was now it's at least coming out 4 months later.
Yeah, it's pretty delay. The video game delay release dates are already very often lies, and then within COVID, I think it's just going to get worse. Yeah, we're going to see lots of delays like that.
I might even have seen the results of an eternal delay with Suicide Squad. You know, we gotta. I mean, we're not going to go into it. We'll obviously go over that with Will, but that's 2022 date. I think I saw some stuff that there's a good chance that was planned for 2021, but with COVID and everything, it was just delayed, and we just don't see the delay because it's the first time we saw anything from it. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. I mean, a lot of stuff we have not seen yet are going to get eternally delayed, and we're not going to know for sure, but we can assume.
Yeah. Yep. Because everyone's going to be scared to put their release dates out there. Yep. Like Sony and Microsoft with their consoles.
So yeah, some of this, like with Halo and Deathloop now delayed. I've seen some people talking like, should consoles just be delayed so they can have a stronger launch lineup? And I'm like, no. I mean, no.
That's never how it's worked in the past. Honestly, almost every console.
I'm going to say it right here. I don't get what's the obsession with, I get wanting some games on the launch lineup, but like, some people seem like there needs to be like a dozen games that appeal particularly to them on a launch lineup. Like, why would you want that? Like, why would you want something
stacked on top of each other?
Yeah, like stacked on top. It's like, oh, they should just wait till push it back to like April or something, so all these games can come out together. It's like, I honestly like, what's the point in that? At least with this, like, if you're gonna want to get it, then you might be okay with getting it at launch. It's like, spread out the games and not have them all stacked on top of each other. I honestly don't get the mindset.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's just not feasible. I mean, a console launch is no different than any other time of the year. I mean, like, very rarely do we have that many, a bunch of games come out. I mean, it happens, but very rarely do we have a bunch of games come out like right there at once at one time. And especially when you're talking about next-gen games, you're already like dividing that into the amount of games that are going to go for next-gen right at launch rather than go for the big giant player base of PS4. And so, like, you're like kind of cutting this in half and half and half until there's not many options. I mean, it's pretty unfeasible to have this giant list. That's why most console launches have no big games, or they have some games that seem like they're going to be big games and they end up being Rise Son of Rome or freaking Order 1886 and stuff like that. That's usually the level of game launch you get. Switch is different because Nintendo needed that to happen real hard.
Yeah, well, if we go by people's definition.
Yeah,
Breath of the Wild didn't count because it was cross-gen.
Right, but it did because no one gives a shit
people
about
are
it.
just so weird with this whole like launch games. Like this launch needs to have all these games. It needs to be perfect. It's like
this launch is going to have Cyberpunk. That's all it needs.
No,
kill all the other games.
I feel like I'm crazy for thinking the launch for PS5 and Xbox as of right now is stronger than most, even if it's just because of cross. Like Cyberpunk alone, it's pretty much going to be a launch game. Makes it stronger than alone makes it stronger than about any other launch.
100%.
Who cares if it's cross-gen? You're going to want to play it. Like that game, especially, you're going to want to play on the new hardware. Like. I get it, like, you know, some people are going to wait, and that's fine. But for the people that are planning on getting it full priced anyway shortly later, I don't know why that makes a difference. Yeah, and it's mainly who I'm talking about when I'm seeing talk, the enthusiasts that are probably going to get it close day one or close to anyway. Why having all these games at the launch of the console matters so much. Like, I part of me is kind of happy these games are going to be spread out a little bit more, so it's like I don't feel like I'm missing out as much when they.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny that like you see these companies like this launch is going to be crazy. We're going to have games all over the place, and then you kind of slowly see them fall apart because that's just video games. Yeah. That's how this shit happens all the time. So from their perspective, like it's just kind of funny how it's like the launch is slowly coming back down to what we would normally expect from a launch, but I still do think it's way better than most launches. It's still, you're like, regardless, who cares if the person's going to have it on PS4? At launch of PS5, you're going to have really cool experiences, between Spider-Man and Cyberpunk. That's about all you need.
And hopefully getting
Medium and stuff like that will be like,
Kina and stuff, and
and Bug Snacks.
Talking about Bug Snacks. No, that doesn't count.
Truly use the power of the PS5.
The Bug Snacks walking animations will be very good on PS5.
Yeah, but if those consoles get delayed, it'll be because of COVID, not because of game launches.
Yeah. And I feel like at this point, unless something crazy happens, like neither of them are going to pull the trigger on that unless the other, the clear signs the other one is going to do it as well.
It is August 23rd, Jeff.
Well, we were talking about before this. We had our betting special, and I got to get the results together soon. A quarter of the yes or no bets are going to be null and void because no one announced a freaking date. I need both of them to announce prices and dates before the noggin. It doesn't seem like it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you have days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless Jeff got the scoops.
I thought you were referring to yourself in the third person at first.
No. Mr. Keeley got the scoops during Gamescom. I got a feeling that's not going to happen, but...
Well... Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hand you off like a sweet baby child over to future Jeff and Darby and Will to talk about all that sweet DC goodness. Here, take my baby. Here you go. You better take care of him. Yeah. Hello, and welcome to the second half of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
I'm Batman.
He's Batman. Fuck Batman.
Hey, what? Dick Grayson.
Remember when he said the thing?
On vengeance.
Guys, sorry, I don't have my black eyeliner, eyeshadow thing. God damn it.
Oh, you're not emo Batman?
I'm not ready enough. Yeah. Damn it. Will, how's it going?
Pretty good.
That was an entire weekend full of DC goodness for you.
It was a really good day. It was a really good day. I posted on Twitter in a summer of pretty meaningless virtual events and no E3. This was pretty great. So I'm all in.
Yeah, and I am so excited to hear. I'm excited to talk to you about my thoughts, but I'm more excited to just hear you two nerd out about the DC stuff. Because growing up, I mean, Jeff's always been #1 DC fan, but then he was kind of rivaled when I went to college and met Will. And it's like I think Will might have taken that crown from him, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I think he's definitely read more of the comic stuff than I have.
Yeah. So Jeff's a fake fan. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh wow! Came at you like that.
Well, Will, let's start with you. Just overall, I mean, we're going to be talking about. FYI, we're going to be talking about the games right here in this podcast. In this podcast that you listen to right now, we're going to be talking about Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights. But We do plan to talk about all the movie stuff, and it's really all just movies, isn't it? Yeah,
Pretty much.
pretty much just all the other movie announcements and everything and trailers. We're going to talk about those in a separate video that's going to post on youtube.com/nerdsatlarge. We're going to record it right here in this session, so you should be able to go see that right now. So if you're interested in hearing about the Batman and Wonder Woman and all that stuff, go over and see that. But for right now, what did we think about the 2 games showed, the presentation, like the DC Fandome in general? Is this something you want to see continued? All that stuff.
The Dome.
The Dome. Do you want to enter back in the Dome again?
I want to enter into the Dome. I don't know. I think Comic-Con's not going away. So it's a little bit different in E3 than E3 in that way. Whereas like people have been saying that E3 might be going away and there haven't been as many people and all that stuff. It doesn't seem like that's the case with Comic-Con International in San Diego at all. So I don't think that DC Fandome is going to be like this all the time. I think they might still have these events. I don't really know. But because I think it turned out to be pretty successful. I enjoyed it a lot. I think Jeff liked it.
Oh, yeah.
But also, like I said, that might be just because we're kind of we don't have any other avenue to get that information anymore. We don't have those events or anything like that. So maybe it was helped by that. But I really enjoyed it. I was just kind of in and out throughout the day. I didn't watch all day, obviously, but just attended the panels that I was interested in. And I really enjoyed the format. I thought it was really well done. How about you guys?
Jeffrey?
Yeah, I thought it was overall, I didn't really watch anything. I just kind of looked at the stuff afterwards. But everything seemed to go well. It seemed like people really liked it. And yeah, I'd be okay if they did more of the stuff. But like Will said, Comic-Con's not going away. So they had less reason to do this. Though if it lines up and they have a bunch of stuff, maybe a time of year that's not Comic-Con, they can do just like a mini fandom.
Yeah. It makes sense. It does feel more of a COVID creation, something that we had to do because of that. But it definitely seemed like they had the goods. They had enough stuff banked up to have a show, which is not something we could say for a lot of other events that have happened this summer. Yeah. Like they definitely had enough to warrant having an event with multiple headlines, multiple big things. Like everybody's got something to take away from this,
It was also nice in the way that like at Comic-Con panels and stuff, you usually aren't able to see like recordings of those events. So maybe you'll get the trailer after the fact, but you aren't usually going to be able to get the interviews and that kind of stuff on YouTube. Or if you do, they're going to be terrible quality. So it was nice having, like professional interviews and stuff done where everyone can see and you don't have to get tickets for an event or anything like that. So that was cool. Yeah.
Well, that being said, y'all just want to get straight into Gotham Knights.
Yes,
Gotham Knights.
It is a real video game.
Yep, the long-rumored WB Montreal game. Finally found out what it is. It is based on Batman and that kind of stuff. You don't play as Batman, but we probably will play as Batman. But we play as all of his proteges. Batgirl, Robin, we got some Nightwing, we got some Red Hood. Yeah.
And it seems like it is like it was kind of, after seeing that trailer, people had questions on like what the game is going to be as far as the like single player versus co-op split, and what is it like, is it going to be more like Avengers, is it going to be more like Arkham and stuff. It's kind of, at least to me, starting to seem like it is closer to the open world Arkham type gameplay, just with the option for drop in drop out co-op as well, which I do think could complicate things in some way, but at the very least it doesn't really seem like a Destiny type thing like Avengers is, where it's like levels and missions that you're playing as certain characters in. It seems more like a
Had to do this. I gotta run to the restroom.
Okay. I guess we
cut.
We can just cut, I guess. Oh boy.
I want to hear your thoughts on it first whenever we start back. Just from an outsider's perspective. Okay. I just want to know.
I'm also, it's even worse than outsider. I've tried to play the Arkham games and I do not enjoy them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even way different.
Even more outside.
That's pretty interesting. Have you tried all of them?
No, not all. It was like back in the PS3 days. I don't know which ones all came out then, but it was probably one of the early ones.
And City.
Yeah, it was one of those. I just never. I mean, I don't know. I never liked I always thought the combat just felt kind of like stiff and clunky to me, and
That's really interesting.
I never really got into the detective mode thing very much, and just I don't know. The game was just kind of felt like walk around and do the same things over and over again.
Yeah. Well, I could definitely see that in Asylum for sure because that's such a smaller game than the others. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and I can't tell you which one I tried, to be honest. It was a while ago. I mean, I might feel differently now. I don't know, but I just never. I mean, I can be kind of picky with those like open with those kind of like the 3D like brawly type games. Like those can get very, very annoying to me or repetitive to me in some ways, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm also not the biggest Batman guy in the world. I mean, I enjoy Batman, but you know, it's not something that I'm like gonna go. I'm not like through the door just by hearing Batman, you know.
Well, what games are you playing right now? So I feel like your gaming tastes have changed since like college for sure.
Yeah, I have put in like freaking 50-something hours of League in the last few weeks.
Nice.
I'm playing a lot of League, but
League.
yeah, I'm kind of in between games to be honest. I wasn't super.
Are you playing Ghosts? I guess.
No, I wasn't.
I'm not.
Yeah, I haven't played it. Yeah. Why aren't you playing? You I would have assumed more might have liked.
I think I'm gonna dig it a lot.
Yeah.
It's just that I think I don't know. Last of Us really took it out of me, just like in terms of gameplay, but also just like emotionally. I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I want to play anything right now. So I haven't really played much of anything besides Detroit in the last few weeks.
Oh yeah, did you beat Detroit?
I did. Yeah, freaking. I tried to. So I wanted to platinum it, and like I'm not far away, but the way that game is set up, obviously it takes some maneuvering to get the platinum in only like 2 playthroughs or whatever. So, right. But I like messed up on one decision pretty early on in the game and played a few more chapters and didn't realize it. And like I can easily go back and change it. It was just a really frustrating moment because I was like, crap, that's a hour and a half, 2 hours wasted that I'm gonna have to go back and play, and I just haven't gotten back to it.
That sucks. What did you think about the ending? Because I definitely saw some people were kind of split on the ending.
Did you play it?
No, I just heard a lot of people talking about it. I pretty much know what happens because I've heard enough people talk.
Well, there's just so many different endings too.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I liked it a lot. The only thing that I didn't like about the game was probably how like on the nose it is. It's just very like, this is civil rights. And it's like, oh, well, all right.
That is
I don't know about that.
Number one problem with David Cage is he has zero subtlety.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love the theme of it, but it is very like, that's a little on the nose. But so I guess like part of the ending, I guess, was yeah, maybe that was what some people had problems with, but I had the good ending. Everyone survived and everything. So.
Yeah, I totally get. I mean, that game did a lot of things in a really cool way. I personally can't really deal with David Cage's writing, but I completely understand.
I also liked Heavy Rain a lot, though, so I think I kind of like his games, even though, yeah, he lacks nuance.
He has good ideas, at least, for sure. He's like a George Lucas. Good ideas doesn't always stick the landing. Like
spider webs, I think, is what he's good with.
Oh yeah,
different narratives, but
yeah.
All right.
Dropping back in about Gotham Knights. Yeah, so Gotham Knights, obviously it is multiplayer, but it doesn't seem to be as like, I guess, games as a service type. You know, there's that tug of war that everyone keeps having. They want the single player thing.
It seems more like it's primarily a single player thing, just the option with co-op. It might focus on that a little bit more than some games, but it's not really a big part of it, the co-op and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like nearly as much as the other ones. I do think there could be weird things could happen because inherently when you're making a game and this game seems like it's very narrative focused. They're talking about like these, Batman's dead and they're coming up, like there's a big narrative focus here. Anytime you have a narrative game that like any character can be in there or not be in there at any moment, that automatically kind of weakens what you can do with that narrative.
Yeah.
And it could get to a point where it's like, if I'm playing Batgirl and Jeff jumps in as Robin, but then the cutscene happens and then you basically just act like Robin's not there. That's a little weird,
That's why I'm not entirely convinced that it's not like some sort of mission structure to where you have to like go to the Belfry, your base of operations, and like click on a mission you want to do, and then it makes you be the people for that mission. That's why, I could see it being that type of mission based. You have to choose. It's not legitimately open world. Do whatever you want. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think just inherently because of that fact, and it's very clear, like on Twitter, they're like, "Ooh, who are you going to choose? Which one are you going to choose?" There seems to be an element of, get in with your friends, play this, or like, choose whichever one you want to choose. When you have that, it's not going to be an Arkham type thing where it's this tight story that has these emotional. I mean, there's going to be some emotion, but there's only so much you can do when you don't have a central character that's going through. Because like you're not, like me and Jeff were talking about, you're not going to have Mr. Freeze or some villain or whatever has some like gut punch narrative moment with a certain character if it's just freeform in humanity.
Well, a potential problem is like one that you could see pretty plausible potential in this story. Jim Gordon's dead. How did he die? It could be one of the villains we face. We may not get that impact if in the cutscenes if you could be anyone and Barber can not be in that part.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, they might have creative ways out of that. I mean, maybe in story, in fiction, they're all there. Maybe when cutscenes happen, they're all there. I don't know. I mean, they could find ways around it. I don't want to theorize too much when we haven't seen how it works ultimately. But I will say, Will, I'm going to stop talking, but Will said while you were gone, he wanted to hear what I had thought about it first. And I am someone who didn't even enjoy the Arkham games. So I'm very much an outsider to all of this. But I will say I'm not at the point where I think I'm 100% going to like go putting $60 down as soon as this game comes out or anything like that. But I am more interested in this for a variety of reasons. The multiplayer aspect of it, and like me and you jumping in there and playing, co-op with this, I think that could be really fun. I think that could, it's different than what you want with Arkham, but it could be really interesting. And especially, it's hard not to compare this game to Avengers, and when you do, it just seems like the things that they're doing in this game are a lot more interesting and varied than in Avengers, because even in the small section you had like, Batgirl's in the rafters looking down while Robin's somewhere else, and they're both sneaking in from different angles and taking out guards together, and it kind of seemed like you could already see where like, Batgirl can open the door for Robin, and things like that. And then you flash over to Avengers and it's literally just run in a room, punch a bunch of guys, run in another room, punch a bunch of guys.
Well, also it's something that's also striking between the two is just the whole free section with the whole big ice tower thing. I don't think we've got to see anything close to that from Avengers footage.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. And just last thing I'll say is I really like the visual style of this. I think their costumes kick ass in this thing. I mean, I think it fits. It strikes that perfect balance between comic booky and real and like realist. Because a lot of video games superhero stuff in recent years are either like super gritty, and it doesn't even look like it's really supposed to comic wise, or it's just like looks goofy, like I don't know, The Flash. It's like one of those two, and a lot of times. But like this, it's like very vibrant colors, but it also looks like it belongs in the world. Like I don't know, I think they just look really cool together. So on a very superficial level, I think that looks cool, and the things they're doing look interesting. And I personally am kind of happy that it's not Arkham and that it's not Batman. That just seems like a lot. It's something different, you know? Yeah. So that's what I think. What do y'all think?
Go ahead, Will.
I think the biggest, like, just thinking about it in my own head, and when it was announced, I think the biggest problem I have with the game was actually just my preconceived expectations of what it was going to be. And that's kind of the same thing with the Avengers, though it's way more pronounced than that. Whereas, like, coming into this, I just totally assumed it was going to probably be set in the Arkhamverse, that it was going to be a Batman-centric game, and that he was going to be finding out about the Court of Owls, and that it would, pretty much, be, I don't want to say like the same, but, same combat, same type of feel. And what we got is just not that. Obviously we have the Court of Owls in the background, apparently a great supervillain team, but I wasn't upset necessarily when they said it wasn't in the Arkhamverse. Like, I was very confused. I think it probably was supposed to, because the ending or the beginning of the trailer is way too close to the end of Arkham Knight, to where it just makes it really confusing. But once I got past that, I just think the level of the enemies and the loot and all that kind of stuff isn't what I wanted in a Gotham Knights or the new Batman game or whatever. But I think once I actually started looking at the footage again and just kind of changing, letting go of that fantasy and actually seeing it for what it was, I don't hate it. It's just I'm not all about it either. It's just like, I don't know. I think it was a lot of hype on my part that just wasn't fulfilled. So I don't hate it, but I also, I'm not all in at all.
So going into this is a weird thing, and like,
we're starting early with the Discord problems.
We're back.
Hey, Will, we're starting early with Discord problems today. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
The mic thing at the bottom.
I don't know if you can hear me. I can't hear you.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay. So we're starting early with Discord problems. Sorry.
That's all right.
All right. Continue, John.
Leading up to this, obviously, I thought it was going to be more Arkham-ish. Batman, Court of Owls, Arkhamverse, all that kind of fun stuff. Like, okay, yeah, go for that. Then we kind of were leading up to it, and I think the Gotham Knights title came out. I think some more rumors about what kind of game it was going to be, playing as the proteges. So I was honestly setting myself up leading into it. We're like, oh, is this going to be another games as a service game? So I ended up kind of pleasantly surprised that it, once we saw more and found out a little more, it's like, it doesn't seem to be that. There's going to be RPG mechanics and all that, but it's not going to be full on games of a service. It looks like the combat is just like it'll be more interesting than like Avengers. And like Dark is saying, the stealth stuff could be interesting. And I'm very curious how they're going to do the whole switching between the characters thing. And I was just thinking about it with the whole Court of Owls thing. I bet something they're going to do to help flesh out and do the whole, because third person action games love to do their little audiobooks and diaries and stuff. Odds are we're going to find stuff from Bruce lying around giving us more details about the Court of Owls or something.
Yeah.
Probably. Something is going to happen.
Yeah, I definitely don't dislike the idea of a co-op, Batman family type game. And even with the leveling and loot, I still think that could be fun. It's just very different than the type of experience I was expecting, which even unfortunately, I don't think Rocksteady's game is going to be for me either. So I think I'm just kind of losing a little bit of that type of game that I really liked.
I think that's the biggest problem, is that both games are doing that.
Yeah.
That you have these two big blockbuster games, and both of them, I know there's a lot of differences, but they're both kind of steering towards that multiplayer angle. And like that, I did not expect that. I expected Suicide Squad to be that, but not this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bummer. When when I was seeing stuff on the phone and everyone mentioning gains of the service for Gotham Knights, like, oh no, because I had no question Suicide Squad was going to be that. I don't see any way it wouldn't have been that at this point. So that was a major bummer. But then seeing both, I came out more positive overall.
But it is definitely still, multiplayer game. It is definitely still that was one of their key selling points. That was one of the first things they had here,
Mm-hmm.
I think it really was that, like, once Rocksteady revealed it was Suicide Squad they were working on, already I was like, that's really not what I wanted from Rocksteady, but whatever. And I just kind of held on to the hope that, okay, well, WB is going to play it safe and just give us another, like, solid Batman game. And we are getting a Batman game. It's just not exactly what was predetermined, I guess, in my mind. So we'll see how it plays and everything. Obviously, it's still, we don't know how far out there, but it'll come out next year at some point. So there's definitely time to improve.
What do you think? I mean, putting aside the multiplayer angle and everything, what do you think about a game that is centering on these characters instead of Batman?
I'm into it. I mean, I think, when I first saw it, like I said, I thought it was a Arkham Knight sequel, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, we can explore how they have to live up to Bruce's legacy, and it would be it would be a lot of fun to play as these characters individual and still have that, like, tight narrative. But yeah, obviously I think that is hampered a little bit by knowing that it's multiplayer. And even honestly, multiplayer doesn't bother me nearly as much as the idea of enemy levels. I think that's going to be really frustrating. Just the idea that maybe you can't stealth take down this guy because he's level 20 and you're not. I think that will be really frustrating. So
yeah, that could be weird. I mean, they could do it in a cool way, but yeah, like you said, it's just different. It's not bad. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's just different. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, luckily I didn't have preconceived notions for, this is not what I expected, but it didn't, like, tear me apart, but I definitely understand this was what a lot of people's one of their most anticipated games. So you think it's going to be something? I
mean, Nightwing is definitely probably my favorite DC character, so it's awesome that I'll be able to play as him. It's just, it looks a little bit, maybe more, I don't know, I guess the Arkham games were always a little bit arcadey, but even just, like, in the fight scenes and stuff, it doesn't even seem to have the same like, free flow combat and stuff, which made that game really special. It seems almost like more beat 'em up. So I don't know. I am glad that they showed the 8 minutes of gameplay. I think that was really helpful. If they just showed the CG, it would have been exciting. But knowing that much more, I think, is helpful for everyone involved, knowing whether they're interested or not. So.
Yeah, for how terrible the marketing cycle was leading up to it, at least the reveal actually did. You walked away from this game having a pretty good idea of what it is.
Yeah, I was thinking, you guys better not just show some kind of CG trailer with nothing in it. No.
Just, like I said, another logo, and then they leave. No.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about with Rocksteady too, but that's the crazy part about both of WB Games and Rocksteady's announcements is that, WB hasn't done anything since Arkham Origins, have they? Do you know?
Montreal? I don't believe so.
Yeah.
I don't believe so, no.
So
didn't they do the Deus Ex game?
No.
Oh no, wait, sorry, I'm taking a Square Enix Montreal. Duh. Yeah. Sorry. Ignore me, I'm an idiot.
So WB Montreal hasn't released a game in 7 years as of right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Rocksteady is 5 years as of right now. And it's like, I don't know. That's such a long time to not show anything and then have that. But it is what it is.
You sound so bummed out, Will.
I know. I think it...
I didn't even think about the time between now and Arkham. Like, people were so hung up on the time between Rocksteady's game. Yeah, Origins was farther ago.
They were both obviously on different projects that got mixed up.
Well, there have been so many rumors from people that, we have no reason not to trust about what these people have been working on. That, I think, they were both had multiple projects, at least, they were working on for at least a little bit. It's like, no, this isn't working out. Between, Superman and Damian Wayne and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And you have to remember... So at the end of Arkham Origins, which was Montreal's last game, they teased a Suicide Squad game in 2013. So presumably they were going to make the next one, and something happened, and they didn't. And then, yeah, obviously the rumors with Rocksteady has been that they were making a Superman game, and that got nixed. But obviously they're maintaining a lot of the visuals and stuff because it's set in Metropolis. Superman. We'll talk about that later. But obviously both of these projects were hampered by some serious creative problems. So that's why it's taking so long.
Yeah. I'm glad to kind of come out of like both these in general, again, the Suicide Squad feeling kind of optimistic about them. The CG trailer for Gotham Knight was cool, but then we saw the gameplay and just kind of get the more details. Again, I'm like, okay, this seems to be at least a little more narrative single player focused than a normal games of service games. Like, okay, I see myself getting behind this, even if it's not 100% of what I want. The fact that it's going to be a game in the Batman universe and, you know, focused on the Batman family and stuff, and have Batman to the side, presumably for most of the game, at least. Sounds exciting to me, just because, again, get to play as different characters we're not used to as much in video games.
I'm excited to see a lot more in the upcoming, months ahead of release. Mm-hmm. I think, because I could see myself getting really into the game. It's just not what I expected at the moment. So I guess I'm just kind of critical of that right now. Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to see what's coming.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you saw this, but I don't know if that was important information, but apparently in a little interview thing or something for that, the Mr. Freeze, when you're playing as Batgirl or whatever, apparently it's like 10-ish hours or whatever into Batgirl's progression, whatever that means.
Oh, okay.
And
all right.
You're halfway through Mr. Freeze's storyline.
Interesting. All right.
So what part of me that got me a little more excited is, again, seeing that whole ice castle tower thing for Mr. Freeze. Like, okay, obviously that's just going to be there for Mr. Freeze thing. Like, they're doing that kind of stuff for individual villains, and apparently only halfway through his storyline. What's the finale going to be like and all that kind of stuff? What crazy stuff are going to happen with all the villains as well? Which, again, gets me excited because Batman has one of, if not the best, rogue gallery in comic books. So,
yeah.
There's obviously been a string of the Arkham games, but particularly doing something different and fighting them with different characters is exciting. And again, the Court of Owls stuff, I'm very interested to see.
I mean, also, I know, Darby, you haven't played Night, but they had these, so Nightwing and I guess Batgirl wasn't, but Red Hood, Robin, they were all in Arkham Knight, and you could actually, like, you were fighting with them in certain arenas, and you could kind of switch on command to them and have like team up combos and stuff. So if they maintain some of that, I think it could be, I mean, presumably they will. It'll be really cool to see how they build onto it.
Yeah. And kind of weird pull, but Final Fantasy VII Remake had an awesome battle system that involved flipping between multiple. I don't think you're necessarily going to be doing that. It's more co-op. But
from what it seems like, it just might. I guess it just depends. Like Will was saying, like if there's going to be a mission structure to it, because Robin wasn't there until the second player joined in.
Yeah.
So up to that point, you, like when you're playing by yourself, it might just be the one character, and like how do you switch between them? Is it instantaneous? You got to go to a hub. How does that work?
Yeah, it is interesting though, because it definitely showed it. Like Batgirl was playing, and then your friend jumped on as Robin. But then Batgirl and Robin started talking to each other, like they were on this mission together. So is that going to be weird if you're in the middle of this narrative mission and then suddenly Robin just jumps through the ceiling?
What's up, Robin?
And then
what's up, Timmy Tim?
I mean, I guess you can narratively just be like, oh, Robin's back at the hideout and he came to help or something. It could be. Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of questions to this, but we'll figure. They'll show us throughout this. I'm just happy they actually showed a normal kind of cinematic-y trailer with some gameplay and then actually showed a gameplay segment of uninterrupted gameplay. I'm glad they showed all that. So it at least gives us enough to like, okay, we have an idea what this game has, but we still have questions.
I am more interested, again, not to the point yet of buying. I need to be sold more in that or whatever. But I am more interested in me and you, or me, you and Will all like playing through this or whatever than I ever have been for Avengers or even similar games like that. Yeah, which is definitely a sign. And the Arkham thing, I know that's probably a bummer to like y'all that it's not connected, but for me, that makes this a lot more approachable. You know, the fact that it's not
yeah.
connected to this long lineage. of
I mean,
games.
that's the thing is it was getting almost as like confusing as like a comic continuity or something with the Arkham games. So it is cool that there's a new universe, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, Will, are you surprised that Robin is Tim and not Damien? Saw some people surprised.
I 100%. Well, I guess part of it was because I thought it was Arkham Knight sequel, and I was like, that doesn't look like Tim Drake. So I just assumed it was Damien until I saw it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks like he had a more Red Robin look, I think, when he popped in later.
Yeah, in the gameplay. Yeah. So that's kind of cool that there's different looks you can use.
Mm-hmm. So I am pleased generally what we have.
So it says 2021. You think this is a fall game? Next fall?
It's hard to tell because they did just give us all that gameplay and stuff and all of that. I think it's hard to tell right now. Normally, I would say potentially probably that, maybe summer at the earliest. They could be planning for like spring or something as of right now, but don't want to give a more focused date or time period right now just because of COVID.
Well, kind of as you just said, they haven't released the game in 7 years, so it's like absolutely impossible to know how long they've actually been working on this game. Like, when did they scrap their previous progress and project and start working on this? They might have scrapped it a long time ago, and this might be like multiple years in the making. So it might be ready February. Who knows? But
this could have been in development for 6 years or 2 years. So
exactly.
We'll see.
That's the problem.
Yep.
Well, any last Gotham Knight thoughts before we head into game number 2 on our list?
Just excited to see more.
Yep. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
I'm happy for everyone that we finally saw the game. It's finally not a tease the game anymore.
Dude, it is funny though, because I'm on like the Batman Arkham subreddit, and I've just seen like Twitter takes and stuff. The Batman Arkham subreddit was like blowing up last night because everyone was like, no. Like both of the games they just did not like. It was sad for them.
I get it. I mean, I think both of them are kind of a gamble, and I do think too many of these AAA studios are just like all in for multiplayer party not party games.
I will say this as far as that. I'm glad it's not like completely Batman. But I kind of wish at least one of these games were not related to Batman in any way. Like Suicide Squad, Harley's the main character, so that's still, still has those kind of Batman ties, and is actually in the Arkhamverse. So I kind of wish something was like completely separated from the character. I love Batman, but
DC can't escape from Batman.
Nope. But can the Justice League escape from the Suicide Squad?
No, transition.
So we got that trailer as well. We finally found our, we knew, but finally saw Rocksteady with our own eye holes what exactly they were working on. We got people are questioning if it's a cinematic trailer or not. I don't know. We got a trailer showing off the 4 playable characters in Suicide Squad and what exactly
it's cinematic. That one gameplay.
Yeah. Some people were pointing to just some hair physics and that kind of stuff.
Anyway, it was like, camera. That ain't gameplay. I mean, whatever.
I guess they're saying, was it in engine or not?
Yeah, more of that. Yeah. More in engine and less of the fancy CG trailer.
So
whatever.
What we thinking?
What are you thinking, non-Arkham guy?
No one wants to hear what I want to, what I think about
we'll just get you out the way.
I didn't love this trailer, to be honest with you. I thought
Was it the tone or what?
Yeah, I mean, the writing wasn't terrible, but I think Suicide Squad writing is very hard to nail. It's very humorous, it's very like comedy focused, but it's kind of like it's just very easy to veer into kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but just kind of like bottom of the barrel, just kind of like I'm supposed to laugh, but it's just really stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, much like the Suicide Squad movie. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. There's nowhere near that bad, but it's just like James Gunn knows how to write like Guardians of the Galaxy and that type of humor or whatever and make it work, and hopefully he can do so.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I just think it's a hard thing to do, and there were just some lines in here. It would teeter between like, okay, this looks like a cool group that I can get behind, and then there'd be some lines that it's like I just immediately I can see the person writing it in the writer's room and stuff, and it just is corny and just like grating. And same thing with the voice acting. There was times it was good, and that Harley Quinn times she sounded right, and then like she would say another line and it just sounded like someone doing a bad Harley impression. I don't know. There were things that were just off about the trailer to me. I mean, it just didn't blow me away. Is all I'll say.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of the 4-player thing, like this game seems way more towards that direction, towards the games of the service type direction. I still think it sounds like, you know, they talk about open world. They talk about you can do it single player and there'll be bots around and everything. But like this game feels designed to be 4 people playing. Again, this is what I'm going to imagine.
I guess I'm just astonished that for some reason DC is so set on this team. It's like,
so it's weird. The from the Rocksteady guy, I forgot his name. That was doing the interview.
Sefton Hill.
Yeah, did the interview thing where Will Arnett pretty much said what Insomniac said.
Just that whole Will Arnett section was so fucking bad. But anyway,
hey, but we learned King Shark's a fan of BoJack Horseman. That's important information.
That's true. Good meta.
Yeah, but he pretty much said it was like with Insomniac, where it's like we had this catalog of characters to choose from, and we decided on Suicide Squad. To be fair, I believe more than Insomniac. That was true for Insomniac than Rocksteady potentially. That. It's harder for me to believe, but I can kind of believe it up to a point that a studio's given this whole catalog of comic book characters and someone chooses Suicide Squad. Oh, you know, Insomniac choosing Spider-Man makes perfect sense. Choosing Suicide Squad, unless they were dead set on making this kind of game, if they were dead set on doing this kind of game, then it's like, okay, there's not really too many other choices that at least have some brand recognition. But yeah, it does seem like they're definitely pushing this team. I wonder if, well, I guess it depends on time. Like
it's just, I just don't see many I just don't see many kids or teenagers or even people our age and older. Like I don't know anyone who's like, oh yeah, I've been aching to play as Harley Quinn or even like Deadshot. Like
I think that's the one thing that you couldn't say is that I think Harley Quinn is like bigger than she's ever been right now. But Suicide Squad as a whole,
maybe
is not
yeah. King Shark.
I feel like Harley Quinn's like now part of the big thing for DC with Batman and Superman. Yeah. So Harley Quinn just stands out.
But your point, I think his point.
No, definitely because Captain Boomerang. Honestly, after the Harley Quinn anime show, I'm all for the King Shark love.
Yeah, it's the year of King Shark.
I'm all for that.
That is funny.
But yeah. They also, well, as far as like Suicide Squad, Deadshot makes sense if you're going to do Suicide Squad to have in. And I guess Captain Boomerang too, but they're very dead set on Captain Boomerang.
Yeah.
Because he's like one of the few characters still around in the new movie.
It's a kind of weird thing for me because like I'm kind of into choosing a team of characters that's not the most obvious choice, that's something kind of different and will maybe be a different type of story, a different type of game. The only problem is I feel like it's not like we have exhausted all of the superheroes. We've just gone back to the Batman over and over and over and over again. There's a lot of other like big names and stuff. It's not like, oh, well, you know, another Superman game or another Green Lantern game, another whatever game. No, we don't get those. We just get Batman games over and over again.
It wouldn't work for the whole shooter aspect, and I know that's something that has you kind of mildly interested in. It gives you a little bit. But like if you're going to do a team game, like and do a small team, and I do like the Teen Titans. Or Titans.
Hell yeah, dude.
And do the core 5 as the 5 playable characters or something. Like that's something people would be all over.
Yeah, I mean you already have, you know, Starfire and Cyborg, which can have those like gun type of mechanics, you know. It's just like I don't know why you would pick this team necessarily. But it is what it is. I think the trailer looked okay. I thought the humor was there. You know, it was what I expected. The reveal of Superman at the end was pretty sweet. I am, like most people, kind of tired of Superman being not even necessarily the enemy, but just like evil Superman. That's novel. It's like no, it's not. But I think if they're gonna make a Suicide Squad game, I think the idea of them like having to face up against the Justice League could potentially be awesome.
Yeah,
but
so
who knows?
That's my thing with the whole evil Superman thing. I get it because there's been a lot of that recently, and we have a whole video game series revolving around that. I get it. What again, like you were saying with the whole Justice League thing, makes me more okay with this because it's the whole Justice League. Of course, like in Injustice, it was like half and half as far as who was good, bad, and that kind of stuff. But this is the full team, and none of them are apparently going to, as far as we know, are going to be protagonists and all that. And I get like the fact that they're using Superman again. It makes sense from marketing things like, to show off, hey, these group of characters are massively underpowered and the long shot because you're facing a literal god, and Superman is the one used to show that off.
Yeah.
I guess for me, what I've kind of realized about this one in particular is that I won't be playing this game probably because like I think it looks really fun or the gameplay looks awesome. It will almost certainly just be because I want to experience like Superman, Green Lantern, and all these characters together in a video game because I haven't really seen that before, especially in the last 15 years or whatever.
Unless we're looking at Lego games.
Yeah. So it will almost certainly just be for like the story and being able to interact with the heroes more than the actual gameplay. So I guess in some ways it feels like they're targeting comic book people, but I feel like that leaves so much on the table for regular gamers that might not be that interested in the story or whatever.
Yeah, so as far as gameplay goes, I was kind of down on it when we first saw it, especially when they said the third-person shooter stuff, like it was a shooter. And that became very obvious with the trailer. That actually made me appreciate the trailer more because more so than most CGI trailers, it actually gave an indication of how the typical game thing is going to go. Like you can actually look, these are the character's abilities and how the four will be different between like, Deadshot's jetpack, Harley's hook shot, and Captain Boomerang has this kind of like flash super speed thing, which seems to how the differences and all that. But the reason I'm ended up more thinking about it and after rewatching it, more excited for it, and I've seen other people say the same, just based off the CGI trailer, we'll have to see how it works in game. Reminds me of Sunset Overdrive as far as the movement and the shooting.
I've seen people say that,
which has me excited because Sunset Overdrive is great. So hopefully it's kind of in line with that. And also the fact that they're considering it like a character-driven, character-driven storytelling makes me hope that it's less like Avengers where it's just kind of just a skin or whatever for this Destiny, like Brawl, whatever thing. And it's like, okay, we're just doing the story thing. It just happens to be multiplayer shooter game. Sure, let's go nuts. And also makes me feel better is based on what they're saying, it's only these four characters is what we're going to be playing as. So it can be a more focused story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they'll all be on screen at the same time. If you're single player, you switch between them, which sounds like it could be fun depending how different the abilities are and all that.
Yeah, you can focus on just them. And I mean, for me, I think it's more of a personal preference thing to me, but it being a third person or whatever shooter, but with these individual characters abilities and everything, that sounds more intriguing to me than I guess the alternative of it just being a third person like punching and brawling thing. I mean, it's partially just personal preference, but also like I just like I like having the grounded that everyone does one thing the same. They do their like shooting and everything the same, but it's it's what they do around that to set it up that like changes them. Kind of like Overwatch or like Valorant and stuff like that. I mean, I know it's a very different game, but just the aspect of we're all doing this, but it's like I can do some crazy ability to set something up and do whatever else. Like that sounds interesting, and at least it sets it apart. Because if it wasn't for that, then you would look at these two games they just announced and be like, they're very similar.
Yeah. But also just the fact, as far as the characters go and the separating, they're saying like each one has a more rich moveset than Batman in the Arkham games. So it's like, okay, looks like we might get variety and it's a lot more crazy stuff to do and all that. And them setting up Metropolis as the fifth character.
Yeah, I certainly still have faith in Rocksteady. I think they'll be able to churn something out that I'll really enjoy. And yeah, especially the fact that they said that it was a continuation of Arkham, I think will be cool. Being able to see these heroes in the Arkhamverse that we never got to before. And yeah, in terms of making Metropolis the fifth character, we've seen how well they can do with Easter eggs in the Arkham games and how alive they can make that city. So I am really excited to explore the world, if nothing else.
Open world Metropolis seems cool.
Oh,
We've done open world Gotham so many times.
I mean, that's what has me excited. We'll have to see how this actually plays. Again, going back to Sunset Overdrive, just going around the world is fun. Depending how the mobility stuff is in this, having an actual open world Metropolis and all these mobility options can be a lot of fun. It just depends how they do it. And I can imagine, especially we know the kind of boss fights that Rocksteady can do. Having these Justice League boss fights could be insane. Especially since on next-gen hardware, because this is next-gen only.
Yeah. I'm getting more excited the more we talk about it.
I'm more thinking about it. Like it could get filling myself with false hopes, just thinking of best case scenarios. But
yeah,
I think this game is going to have pretty much all of the worries that we have for Gotham Knights. You can copy and paste over here too, of just telling a narrative within the multiplayer game. It's just very hard to do.
Yeah.
At least the narrative.
What gives me potentially a little more faith here is, like I said, the fact that all four of these characters will be there at all times compared to Gotham Knights, where you'll have one or two at most. You don't have to deal with the narrative problem of who's there right now. It's going to be... Plus, it's the Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn there. Quips matter a lot more, so you're not going to want... the potentially people to miss out on the Harley Quinn quips. The whole thing is gonna be about the team dynamics. Yeah. So you're gonna want the team together constantly as you're walking around the city. They're like, And I kind of what I like about how far they go into is at least explaining what the gameplay is. It can put a nip in the bud of that. People talking about once we rescue the Justice League is mind controlled, and after we rescue each one, they'll be playable. Some people were kind of put their hopes on that. That's obviously not happening. We're not going to have Flash with a gun. Is what I'm saying. I will say, and I talked about this to Jeff some, I do hope there's some other really interesting narrative element to this, because kind of like what Will was touching at, just Brainiac's here and he's mind-controlled Justice League. It's just not super exciting to me. And it is, maybe part of that is how kind of eerily, funny how close it is to Injustice. Seems like very close to the Injustice plot. And I don't know, just Justice League are mind controlled, and then we're gonna reverse the mind control, and then they're back to normal. And it just seems like I can map this plot out. That's definitely easily right now. I was telling Darby, they're obviously mind controlled. Superman's eyes and whatever stuff was freaking purple, like Brainiac stuff. There's no question about that in my eyes. What I do hope, because it's the freaking Suicide Squad, I don't think they're gonna do this. I really hope they do. They're still mind controlled. The Suicide Squad just doesn't give a fuck, and they kill them anyway.
Kill them, yeah.
It ain't gonna happen.
I know,
but what I hope they do is something almost like a Far Cry 3 situation, where you think Voss is the bad guy the whole time, but then halfway through, you get the Justice League out or whatever, and you stop Brainiac, but it's fucking Darkseid's coming. It's Darkseid was past that or something. It's there's a bait and switch of you think this is gonna be a normal Brainiac mind control, and you reverse the mind control, but it's squash, nope, bigger threat. I don't know. I just hope there's something else. I don't even know what I want. I just that plot. I just feel I know how that game ends. I know how almost every beat of that game just by looking at the trailer, which I don't know.
But the biggest disappointment of all is that it's still 2 years away.
Yeah. So I saw something. I don't know how concrete this is. Some rumors and stuff about it was originally planned for 2021, but then COVID happened, so it had to be pushed back, obviously, into 2022. I can believe that.
It's just crazy how both of those games are leaning into Last Guardian levels of haven't heard anything.
Will, you remember when we started this channel in 2017? We were expecting to see this game in any event. It's going to be here anytime. I would love to go back to us then and say, hey, the game's not coming out until 2022. Just fade away.
It's 2020 and you still haven't played it. So
same thing with Fable. We were expecting that the first year we started this.
Damn it. Damn Discord. All right, we back.
Well, I mean, yeah, the crazy thing is in 2016, we were still old. We were 3 years out from Montreal's game. So that wasn't a crazy idea.
Going so long for these games.
So long.
After finally hearing about them, it's just, ugh.
Yeah, that is tough.
Like, at least for Rocksteady, like, I know we get on developers, I think rightfully so for the most part, announcing them early, but I'm glad Rocksteady at least went ahead and announced it, so we just put all this to bed.
They had to.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
Yeah.
I agree. And it just makes it easier on them too to just be like, all right, this is in the open. We don't have to be weirdly secretive anymore. It's just there. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
But
I almost felt like they should have done this a long time ago when everyone's like, oh, it's definitely Superman. It's definitely Superman. At some point, it's like, just say it's Suicide Squad and just move on. You know.
Well, the thing is, probably when they were getting those rumors, they had that scrapped and were trying to find something new. It's like they probably didn't know for sure that they were going to continue with Suicide Squad until like a year ago or something. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you still have a year and a half of development. So
Yeah. I will say, Derby, as far as like them, like when the Superman rumors happened, if they had Suicide Squad and then just go ahead and say it, the reason I would argue against that is because Suicide Squad, especially at the time, would not bring any excitement whatsoever.
Right,
and
sure.
I understand, like, just from marketing, the developer standpoint, any of that, they actually wanted to show something before officially announcing this game. We've known about it for a while, but as far as officially saying it to the public, I get why they wait to show stuff. Because if they just said Suicide Squad, they're like, at least the Kill the Justice League thing adds a little something to it. Whether, positive or negative, it adds an interesting twist to it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, any last thought on the gaming portion of the Dome?
The Dome.
I mean, there were two. At least we got two high caliber games.
Yeah,
for good or
we got
good or bad, but those two big
games
heavy.
people really wanted to see.
Yeah.
Even
For
just
better
one
or
of
for
these would
worse,
have been a big deal. Yeah.
We now know what they are, and that's the biggest thing.
I'm
Now we
intrigued in both. I have at least a passing interest in both. I am not like hard out of either. You know,
Which you pretty much were once you saw Avengers.
Yes,
I mean, we talked ourselves into feeling like there was some hope, but
I am like, I guess the only thing is I am very curious as to how many people did see. Well, I've heard more positive things about Gotham Knights actually, but I wonder how many people saw the Suicide Squad trailer and were like all in. You know, I just feel like it would be a lot easier with any other team or idea to have people like really be excited about that. And I feel like more people are just like, I mean, yeah, it might be good, but no one's.
and I mean,
super
don't get me wrong, sales are not the be all end all, and they shouldn't be the be all end all for whether you're making a project or not. It shouldn't be. But I have to imagine, like, no matter how good it is, like Suicide Squad is just never going to sell like Spider-Man or Avengers levels, even a mediocre Avengers game.
yeah.
It's just probably
Yeah.
But again, that shouldn't be. I mean, it could be a great game. I would, I'm very glad that we didn't get two Batman games here. I'm very glad that they're at least going for something.
So, well, here's the
different.
interesting thing, and there's some parallels between Suicide Squad game and Arkham Asylum, where a Batman movie came out like the year before Arkham Asylum, and this time, if everything comes out when it's supposed to, of course, we'll be getting a Suicide Squad movie, which we'll get into. A more reason to be hopeful for as far as the quality a year before a Suicide Squad movie. That's kind of get people hyped up for the game. Some are kind of at least more into the idea, more into the characters, even if one of the four isn't actually going to be in the movie.
But John Cena's in the movie.
That's all that matters.
Peacemaker.
Thank you guys so much for watching the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. Make sure you go over to youtube.com/Nerds at Large to watch us talk about the rest of the DC stuff, which we're about to do in real life right now. Will, thank you so much for joining us. You're not going anywhere here, but
See you guys.
see you on the other side. Peace.